Welcome back to our podcast following the creation of the shows for Festival Short Plays 50/50 in 2020. Today we will be following the making and challenges of the last play in our festival, Well Done Poets by Laura Quinn. The play follows two drunk college students as they argue about dead poets in a bar before they are interrupted by their matron, Erin. In the play, Beth and Carrie are shouting the words Plath and Sexton, the last names of two well-known female writers. Sylvia Plath was an American poet, novelist, and short story writer. She is known under the genre of confessional poetry, with other well-known works like The Bell Jar. Plath received a Fulbright scholarship to continue her study of poetry and literature at Newnham College, an all-girls extension of the University of Cambridge. Plath was treated for her depression with electroconvulsive therapy. She married Ted Hughes, another poet, who was said to have cheated her and beat her, which perhaps led her to miscarry during her second pregnancy. Plath attempted to commit suicide many times. Two of the documented failed attempts consisted of her swallowing her mother's sleeping pills and crawling under her house to die, and driving her car off the edge of a road. Her successful attempt at suicide involved her sealing the doors between her sleeping children's room and the kitchen, then turning on her gas oven and sticking her head in to asphyxiate herself. There are some conspiracies, though, that Plath's husband, Ted Hughes, staged her death to gain access to all of her works. Anne Sexton is also a poet known for her confessional verse. She won a Pulitzer Prize for her book, Live or Die, in 1967. Sexton was friends with Plath and often guided Plath to write what she knew, which led to successful poetry and novels by Plath. Sexton suffered from severe bipolar disorder for a lot of her life. Though her roadblocks in life were not as many as Plath, she still suffered greatly. In 1974, Sexton put on her mother's fur coat and went to the garage and ended her life through carbon monoxide poisoning. Her book, The Awful Rowing Toward God, was scheduled to be published in March 1975 prior to her death. In an interview more than a year before she died, she promised that the book would not be published until after she had died. Since you've heard a little background about the play, we will now move on to a short question and answer with the designers. We have Stacy Olson, who is the set designer, Cassie Sand, who is the costume designer, and Katrina Seek, who is the lighting designer. I'll start with Stacy. This question is from Rick Getz. Had we come back after 2 weeks of spring break and still had to put on a show, what could you change or simplify to get the show up in a hurry?
So this show was already pretty minimal in terms of set since we would have pulled 3 tables from stock. So we weren't really building anything big in terms of that. But I could have simplified the paint treatment on the flats to be a solid color instead of the wood paneling and wallpaper that was in my initial research. And I also would have probably had to minimize the wall decor that I would have added to incorporate the bar atmosphere.
Great. Cassie, did you worry at all that the busyness of the set for the bar scene would clash with the busyness and the brightness of the 90s costumes? How would you combat that? Could you perhaps use more neons or brights to make them pop against the clay and more neutral colored backgrounds?
The conscious choice to make the characters kind of pop out from the rest of the background because 90s fashion is all about standing out. The characters would have a lot of like bright colors incorporated in like their shirts and their pants and then like their hair accessories like the little clips. And these characters don't want to blend into the background of like normality. Like they want to change and make an impact on the world around them. Like none of these characters are shy.
Awesome. And Katrina, this is from Rick Getz. So for the 2 different bars, you said one would have reds and blues and the other would not. How do you make them look like bars but different bars?
Yeah, so I think the lighting would have been dim for both of them, so to show that bar feeling. But so then the bar for the hour would have had the more reds and blues, kind of the more shady bar, whereas the bar for Well Done Poets would have had more yellows in it, and so it's more of like the college bar feeling and less of the club feeling that the hour had.
Great. Thank you all so much. Before we hear the reading from the play, we're going to have a quick chat with our director, Michael Siliski. Hi, Michael. How are you going to approach the topic of female empowerment in the play and showing that character growth through the show?
For Well Done Poets, it's very challenging because the first obstacle you find with this is that both the female characters are drunk, which leads to a kind of loss of credibility for the actors and the characters. So what I really want to take into this is that no matter what, the female characters aren't wrong. What they're leading the actors through the idea that what they're feeling, what their characters are going through is not wrong in the slightest. I also want to make sure that the female characters have a sense of agency threaded. I want to make sure that Beth and Carrie realize that they are truly about to go spray paint somebody's office, that everything they say they're going to do, they are planning on doing. And maybe even committing suicide is part of that plan. I want them to realize that all of the thoughts and things the characters are saying are not just because of the alcohol. It's because of the decisions they've come to based on the society they've been placed in.
So you brought up the mention of committing suicide. As we know, Sylvia Plath is brought up in the play frequently, and she was seen as a brilliant writer, but struggled with her mental health and eventually did kill herself. How is this notion important to the play?
Sylvia Plath is important to the play, not only just as a plot device for the girls to know Aaron better and Aaron to know the girls better and for everyone to learn from each other, but she also very much kind of mirrors the struggle that Carrie and Beth are facing. Specifically, Beth. Beth is a brilliant economics major. She's won this award, but however, due to the ideas placed upon her by her male superior, she's feels inadequate and that she is unable to really cope with this idea that she will never be respected for the work that she does, because it'll always be assumed that the reason that she is succeeding is because she's putting down some other person, some other male. And while in Sylvia Plath's case, the fact that her husband was having an affair was one of the main reasons she killed herself, it's the same kind of betrayal of that identity where you think that the reason that you are in the place that you are is because of how successful you are, but someone or something happens and it makes you think that the only reason you are in the place that you are is because of other people allowing you to be there. So I feel that if Beth hadn't gone through the circumstances of the play, met with Carrie and then met with Aaron and talked things over, she might have gone the exact same road that Sylvia Plath went.
Thank you, Michael. Now we will have a reading from Well Done Poets, directed by Michael Siliski. Carrie will be played by Jess Doster, Beth will be played by Eden Mode, and Aaron will be played by Tanner Striegel.
You know what we should do? We should really learn that poem, road trip up to Sexton's grave and dance around it singing that.
Could be the first club activity.
But Aaron couldn't participate.
Why not?
Because we're not letting men in.
But I'm going to be your first speaker.
A speaker is not a member.
It's policy.
Who made the policy?
Beth.
Beth, your policy sucks, and barring men from clubs is sexist.
You haven't known Beth very long or you'd understand the pain she suffered.
I haven't caused her any pain.
You caused me pain just by sitting at this table.
I must say that alcohol is a wonderful thing. Beth, I feel I know you.
You do know me.
More than the actual time span of our acquaintance.
How long has it been?
Well, I got here at, let's see.
5:30. You got here just in time for the free popcorn.
Thank you, Aaron. Beth, I've known you since 5:30
PM?
p.m.
You've known Beth since happy hour?
Quality time.
She recruited me
To follow the drum.
to be the first member in her, well, we're still arguing over the name, the Phil and the Suicidal Woman Poet Memorial Self-Educating Poet Appreciator Society. Is that right, Beth?
I'm so drunk.
That's the first sensible thing I've heard all night.
Hey. Do you have any spoons that we can hang off of our noses?
Beth, I want you to know I love you like a sister, but I'm worried about your drinking. Do you do this often?
Oh, please don't ask me to think.
Okay, I'm going to take this picture away, mop up the floor, and then I'm calling the Women's Transit Authority.
Harry has a car.
God, I hope their number's in the phone book.
Aaron,
What?
what is wrong with you?
Me?
Your race. Men. I hate men. I really do.
Thanks.
But not you. You're at least trying. You know poetry.
You know money.
Huh?
You're an economics major?
Economics majors don't know anything about money. Economics majors are bozos.
You're not a bozo.
No, of course not. But all the rest of them are. Do you want to know why?
Why?
Because they're men. I spit on men.
Ew. Here, let's wipe your mouth.
Well, if I could spit well, I would spit on them.
Men?
Yeah, but I can't spit well. I can't hold my beer well. I can't even walk well right now. The only thing I can do well is whine.
Anne Sexton whined a lot.
No.
It's in the latest biography.
I have been her kind, huh?
I don't think you're suicidal.
No. But haven't you ever thought, if I killed myself, then they'd all be sorry?
Yeah. But logic usually comes screaming in to stop me.
Logic. I know a lot about logic. I'm very confident. I'm very smart about money, not about words. I never know what to say, and that's why I want to study great women poets, because they have great things to say, and if I said what they said, then I might have something better to say than what I do say, right?
It depends. What do you want to say?
I'm not sure.
Well, what's the situation?
I've gotten a really big award to study economics in London.
Good for you.
Damn right, good for me. I had stiff competition.
Men?
I wouldn't go that far. Let's just say
Males.
Y chromosomally challenged.
I like that.
Thank you.
Very politically correct.
Thank you. So, some of these Y chromosome carriers, some of these Y chromosome carriers in positions of power, namely my professors, actually, namely one professor with a Y chromosome, told me the only reason I got this award was because there was pressure to give it to a woman. And didn't I think that I should decline the award to some Y chromosome who really deserved to go could go?
What a shithead.
That's what I thought.
Did you tell him that?
No, I didn't say anything. I couldn't think of anything to say. Okay, no, that's not true. I did think of one thing to say. I thought of saying, I am woman. Hear me roar.
You didn't say that, did you?
Of course not. Do you think I'd yell a tampon commercial at the chairman of the economics department? Huh, I might as well have yelled, hey, Y chromosome. Do you ever feel, not so fresh? I wanted to say something noble. I wanted to think of a great quote, but all I could think of was Helen Reddy.
That's tough.
Nobody likes Helen Reddy.
He can't take the award away from you, can he?
No, that's decided by a bunch of English chromosomes. Mary's been to England, and she said that the Y chromosomes there are worse than the Y chromosomes here. And they're English, and I'm not an English major. I bet they just sit around and quote Tolstoy all the time.
He's Russian.
Whatever.
Thank you for watching this episode following the play Well Done Poets by Laura Quinn. If you haven't already, have a look at our previous episodes following the rest of our festival. In the Beginning, The Hour, Rise, and Super Hot Raven and Raven 2, The Ravening. Stay tuned for our last episode, coming April 29th, where the seniors involved in this project will discuss what it was like to change platforms in a discipline that revolves around physicality and the need to be in a theater space. We hope that you have enjoyed yourself, and thank you for your support during this difficult time.